Alright, our presentation was on how do violent video games affect kids. So this is an overview of our essay that we wrote on the effects of violent video games on behavioral and through different types of lenses. So how have they affected kids in recent years? So over recent years, violent acts like school shootings have become more common. Often the blame for this falls on violent media, mostly video games. Psychologists and parents argue if the video games are really the cause. There's several different facts that go on either side. A lot of the shooters have played games like Call of Duty, but there's no direct link between that and the shootings. Parents are worried that simulated violence in video games causes the kids to become desensitized to violence. There is a rating system, which is the ERSB, and this tries to keep the young kids from playing violent video games. So the ratings go like E, E10 and up, T, M, and normally it's supposed to go by the age rating, but I know for sure a lot of kids do not go by that. Are they really the cause is the question, and there have been many studies made to try to answer this question. And one study conducted by Lillian Bensley and Juliet Van Inyak shows that kids are more violent directly after playing violent video games. So I read an article that had an experiment, and it was right after kids played violent video games, they put them in a test. There was an empty candy bowl on a table, and they saw how many pieces of candy the kids who had just played the violent video games took compared to kids who didn't play the violent video game right beforehand, and they took a lot more candy than the kids who have never played violent video games. So there's certain direct links of violence and other bad traits like greed that are linked and have been proven to be linked, but things such as school shootings haven't been proven to be linked with violence that is in video games. Do they really have a lasting effect on whether or not you play a violent video game or not? Dr. Timothy E. Ring, a psychologist, said that the bright lights and loud sounds experienced in playing video games holds the attention of kids, even those with attention deficit hyperactive disorders, and this could lead to mentally unstable kids to commit violent acts. So someone who has an attention deficit disorder or a hyperactive disorder who is playing a violent video game that has bright lights and such like that in it will be more prone to commit violent acts. So the violence that occurs after someone plays a video game may not be directly linked with a normal person who's playing a violent video game, more so linked to someone that has a disorder of some sort. And it's not necessarily the violence in the video games, but it's the lights and the sounds that kind of drives them to be mentally unstable. Further evidence of this comes from Adam Lanza, the Sandy Hook killer. She owned all the most violent video games, including Call of Duty and Grand Theft Auto. These games may have led to his violent act. Again, this isn't necessarily proven that these games are the direct cause of this violent act during the Sandy Hook shooting. But she did play these games. He did play these games. So there could be some sort of link there. Again, it's not proven either way. There are facts that go on either side. So yeah. In conclusion, the violent video games really cause normal kids to commit violent acts is the question. And there's no definite answer, again, as I've said several times during this presentation. But games can cause short-term violent behavior and lead unstable teens to violence. So some of the different short-term effect of violent behaviors. Again, with the kids who have mental disabilities, that is definitely affecting them. Some people believe that the kids who play violent video games are more aggressive on how loud they play certain instruments. I know this sort of goes with this because they use college students as test subjects. They were divided into two groups, and one of them plays a violent video game and the other does not. And then after that, the emotional response was tested by using things like loud noises, and the groups weren't allowed to blast each other with these noises, such as nails on a chalkboard or dental drills. They were able to control the volume of the noise they produced, and some students did not hold back, and the group that played the violent video game beforehand were more aggressive in how loud they played their instruments. So, many video games do have morally objectionable material, but more than likely, they will not lead your child to be a violent killer. It has not been proven that goes with it at all. In certain situations, it could be something to blame violent behaviors on, but not like killings and shootings. There is really no definite answer of this. So, in certain situations, such as someone playfully insulting someone or roughhousing, people who play violent video games will respond to that in a much more aggressive way than someone who doesn't. So, such as like responding back or getting revenge on someone. But their counterparts who do not play video games did not respond with any aggression at all. Violence in video games can directly cause minor changes in behavior and social habits, but it's not a direct cause of major violence such as murders, shootings, and major crime. It's not been proven yet that it is a direct cause. This fact can protect certain companies that are under siege by people who believe that video games are the cause of this violence, but it can also give someone a reason to question why kids are even playing these games at such a young age, because a lot of kids that play video games at that young age will play them throughout their life, and you have to wonder, will that directly affect their impact and directly impact on how they handle certain life situations and what consequences can come from that. Really, the parents can choose to protect their kids from this. But overall, again, I'm just going to read the conclusion again. Violent video games, there really is no definite answer if it does cause normal kids to commit violent acts. Again, that is not taking the mental disability kids into view here, because this is going just with the conclusion that it doesn't affect normal kids to commit violent acts. And there's no definite answer right now, but violence in video games can cause short-term violent behavior and lead unstable teens to violence. Thank you for listening to this presentation.